You know what's wild? Some people will destroy 100 years of your family history just so they can have a nicer view while eating their avocado toast. Yeah, that happened to me. Brenda Thornfield, the HOA president of Thornfield Estates, had 4 massive century-old oak trees on my land chainsawed down while I was 3 hours away watching my nephew walk across the stage at graduation. Security footage caught the whole thing, her standing there in her perfect white tennis outfit, directing the crew like some kind of suburban general. Those trees. Man, they'd survived wars, storms, everything. My kids climbed them. My granddad proposed to my grandma under one of them. Gone. Crashed to the Georgia clay for $85,000 worth of timber and memories. Also, this woman could see mountains from her breakfast nook without any trees in the way. I'd inherited my granddad's 12-acre property just a few months before. The old 1920s farmhouse, rolling hills, and those 4 oaks that my great-grandfather had planted himself back in the day. It felt like paradise. What I didn't know was that the property came with this quirk, a private road easement that my granddad had granted in 1943, so the outside world could reach what eventually became these 47 gated mansions for Atlanta's rich overflow. Beautiful part? I still owned every inch of that asphalt. Every pothole, every line. The smell hit me first when I got home that night. Fresh sawdust and diesel hanging heavy in the air, mixed with the red Georgia clay. Wood chips scattered everywhere like confetti from hell. I walked around those 4 bleeding stumps and my stomach just dropped. Then I pulled up the security cam footage. There was Brenda, time-stamped right when I was at the graduation, pointing and measuring sight lines like it was her God-given right. She didn't even try to hide when I confronted her. Came walking over with that $1,000,000 smile. Arthur, perfect timing. I left a note about the emergency removal. The county arborist said they were diseased anyway. I held up my phone. Funny, I called the county. No such order exists. She didn't even blink. Offered me $500 for the inconvenience. $500 for my family's entire legacy. I told her those trees shaded my great-grandfather's wedding. She just shrugged and said something about neighborhood values and how she always gets her view eventually. That's when the harassment really started. Certified letters every day. My fence was suddenly obstructing sight lines. My barn ruined the horizon aesthetics. My chicken coop was a visual eyesore. She'd turned the whole HOA into her personal view police force. But here's where things got interesting. My trail cameras caught her one night, Brenda in designer workout clothes, moving my survey stakes 6 inches onto my property to expand her precious view corridor. That's when I called my attorney Patricia. And that's when we discovered the gold. The road her entire community had been using? It was 4 feet wider than the original 1943 easement. They'd built it without permission back in the 90s, destroyed some seasonal wetlands, and my granddad had explicitly denied the expansion in writing. They'd been trespassing on my land for 30 years. The real twist came from the most unexpected place. Sweet old Mrs. Bellamy, this lady who'd lived next door for 40 years growing the best tomatoes in the county. She'd been watching Brenda terrorize everybody but staying quiet. Until one morning, she brought over warm biscuits and dropped the bomb. Arthur, that woman just filed paperwork to turn the whole neighborhood into a protected scenic vista zone. But guess what? Her fancy consultant's report spells out every road violation and wetland damage they caused trying to widen everything. Brenda had accidentally created the evidence that would destroy her own empire. I didn't rush in screaming lawsuits. No, I did something way more effective. I installed a serious gate, heavy steel, automated, with all the environmental compliance bells and whistles. Because of the wetland issues her development had caused, documented in her own filing, federal guidelines actually supported controlled access for protection. All the neighbors got easy proximity cards for smooth passage. Except Brenda. For her, it was special permits only. $75 a crossing, 24 hours advance notice, and 3 hours of environmental impact paperwork that I personally reviewed. The first time her white Mercedes rolled up and that red light started flashing, access restricted, environmental compliance protocol, I swear I could hear her scream from my porch. What the hell is this, Arthur? Environmental protection, Brenda. You triggered the whole thing with your Mountain View crusade. Watching her sit there trapped, 20 yards from her $1,000,000 mansion, was sweeter than any revenge I could have dreamed up. The community turned on her real quick once their commutes became living hells. People who used to stay quiet started showing up at meetings calling her obsessed. Then the federal EPA agents rolled in after her scenic vista filing triggered a full investigation into those wetland violations. Turns out when you try to bulldoze your neighbor's heritage for a prettier breakfast view, you sometimes expose 30 years of your own illegal construction. The final showdown was at the county commission hearing. The room was packed. Brenda showed up looking wrecked, designer clothes wrinkled, that arrogant smile long gone. When they played the evidence on the big screen, her ordering my trees cut, the illegal road expansion, her trying to block an ambulance during old Mr. Patterson's heart attack, she completely lost it. Started screaming about property values and aesthetic standards like the rules of the world revolved around her mountain panorama. Mrs. Bellamy stood up, calm as Sunday morning, and delivered the kill shot. You didn't preserve beauty, ma'am. You committed view terrorism against this entire community. And now, you're getting the only view you deserve. From behind bars. The commission didn't hold back. Federal charges stuck. 18 months, massive fines, her real estate license gone for good. The mansion went into foreclosure. A young family bought it and planted a big vegetable garden right where Brenda used to hold her view optimization meetings. 6 months later, I sit on my porch most evenings watching 4 new oak saplings growing strong where the old giants stood. They're small, but they'll make it. The damaged wetland area is now a community environmental education center with trails and kids learning about the land. Property values actually climbed because folks started working together instead of fighting over views. Mrs. Bellamy got elected HOA president and things feel peaceful again, the way they should have been all along. Looking back, the craziest part is what I learned sitting on that porch with the gate humming softly and neighbors waving as they drive through. The folks who are willing to destroy someone else's roots just so their breakfast looks a little prettier. They're blind to what actually matters in this life. They think power comes from money, lawyers, and fancy titles. But real power, the kind that lasts, is knowing the rules better than they do, protecting what's yours, and understanding that you can't bulldoze other people's history without karma eventually showing up with a gate and a bill. So let me ask you straight, if a neighbor destroyed something irreplaceable from your family just to improve their own view, how far would you go to make it right? Have you ever tangled with an out-of-control HOA, or a bully who thought the rules didn't apply to them? Drop your state in the comments and tell me your story. Let's talk about where the line is between standing up for yourself and going too far. If this one hit home, share it with somebody who's fighting their own battle right now. Sometimes the person they think has the least power is holding all the cards.